They're on the floor and they're ready to score. So let the game begin. And let's see how the ball's gonna bounce today. Welcome to NBA. Come on and join the rest of the crowd. There's a line across the bound from your way.
Welcome to another episode of Rod's Tabletop Hoops. If you were a kid in 1977 or 78 and you lived in the Portland, Oregon metropolitan area, you had the experience of a lifetime as the Portland Trail Blazers were on top of the basketball world. They had just won the NBA championship in 1977 over the Philadelphia 76ers, and all things were looking bright, especially for the following years, because they had one man named Bill Walton, featured here on my own copy of Street and Smith's Basketball. And it was just an incredible thing. He was going to be leading us to championship after championship, which of course never occurred due to some injuries and some other things. But for that time period, when the Blazers won the title in 1976-77, I'd never played a tabletop basketball or tabletop sports game in my life. But when I got this magazine, I think more important than the articles was what you see inside. As you can see right there on page 1, you've got Sports Illustrated games for all seasons. That includes pay dirt, football, college football, all kinds of games. They eventually, of course, got basketball strategy, baseball strategy, all types of sports games. But that was just the beginning. You move on to my next marked page, and there you have the APA Pro Basketball game. Now, this game was created in 1966 or so, and really never lived up to the hype. Good-looking cards, good-looking box, solid quality boards and cards, but not a very good game. Should the Sixers have beaten the Blazers in the 77 finals? That's pretty much what was going on in 1977. But anyway, moving along, this game has come back to life a little bit. It's still around in certain circles, real-life basketball. And there you have it, the real-life basketball. You can get it for $10.95. Follow that with longtime game companies like Nagamco, Pro Basketball, Major League Baseball, Pro Hockey, Pro Golf, College Football. But this magazine was just chock full of these ads. It was either ads or trying to get point spreads free from these experts. Kind of weird. It's like DraftKings 1977, isn't it? So anyway, we move right along, and we come upon this advertisement. Fast Break Pro Basketball. Now, Fast Break was the first game I wanted to try. You can see I had a couple other games in here. I think there's another one. Champagne Games Pro Basketball. You can see I tore out the coupon, which would allow me to get a free brochure. Well, comes to be that I was able to visit the place where Fast Break, the pro basketball game, was created on June 1st. And I got to meet the surviving members of the Mickey family. Jim had passed away in December of 2023, unfortunately. And they really wanted to meet me in person because I'd written a couple articles in Sports Sim magazine, and they just knew I was a humongous fan of Fast Break, so they were really interested in meeting me. Well, last year was kind of a tough year. The family was dealing with Jim's passing, and just sounds like he was a wonderful guy. And I found out in my experience on this trip to Rochelle, Illinois, a week ago, that he was just as special as they described. And I met Mary, his widow, in addition to their 4 living and adult children, all about my age, Monty, Toby, Randy, and Julie. And we had just a great chat for an afternoon there, and soaked in just all of Jim's memories. I was like a sponge, just trying to learn and understand how the family operated and everything. But it turns out Jim started this game in the 60s, started the creation of this game in the 60s, spent 5-6 years perfecting it, and eventually decided to bring it to the table. And started in 1974 when they came out with their first season. But deviating from that, I decided to basically tear out that little strip there, deposit 13 cents, so I could get my own brochure. And to make sure last week that I was actually, they had received my brochure, my wife went down to Jim's basement with myself, and we searched through the card catalog of all the past clients, and we came upon this. This is a self-addressed envelope, and I mailed that to Mickey Games when I was 12 years old. 12-year-old me wanted to really try Fast Break. Can we make the connection between this ad and the one I just grabbed from Rochelle, Illinois last weekend? I think that's pretty good proof, including the part where the M is just sticking right there, that they received my request. And so this was somewhere in July of 1979. I was still 12 and a half years old. And after they received that, they sent me a brochure that looked a little bit like this. And this brochure inspired me to truly want to get Fast Break, because by reading this multi-fold brochure, and this was an extra one that they had lying around in Jim's basement, I'd cut the card of John Havlicek out of my personal copy, but I got myself a fresh copy here. And it was just telling you simple things about how the game plays. This is based on the 73-74 Havlicek here, but either way, this was the big yellow brochure that I was just always so enthralled with. But anyway, you can see right here the 78-79 edition, which is the 77-78 season. That's the year before this season of cards. This is not the exact brochure in that respect, but 78-79 season. I actually got the 79-80 complete game, but the game back the year before was $13 for 10 players per team. You get the extra players for $2 more, so that's $15, and you can get 50 padded score sheets for $1.50. So, but anyway, I just read the letters through and through, all the great raves and these reviews, and of course they tell you what players you're going to get. This is for 77-78 a season, which ended up selling out really quickly. But anyway, I was going after 78-79. But anyway, this is what the brochure looked like within a year. And the next thing you know, I was ordering the game, and came up on my doorstep, and I'm going to simulate exactly what happened after it hit my doorstep. All right, here is one of the last remaining original plain cardboard boxes that houses Jim Mickey's Fast Break Pro Basketball game. Now, when I was in Rochelle last weekend, Monty, their oldest son, came up to me and said, I found 2 original plain brown boxes. These were the last ones. He took one for himself and he gave me the other one. So this is exactly what it was like. No fanciness like APA Pro Basketball or one of those bookshelf games from Avalon Hill. Just a simple, plain brown box. But more important than what's the boxes look is what is inside the box, as Jim Mickey would always say. It doesn't matter how good the box looks if the game is garbage underneath. And in an article I wrote in 2021 for Sports Sim Magazine, interviewing Jim, he really had a frustration finding a good basketball game. He told me that APA Pro Basketball was an arduous game, not a fun game to play. And he kept looking, and eventually, he decided to design his own game. And so, anyway, I've got an article that I got from Mrs. Mickey, Mary, and I'd like to share that just for a second. This article is from the Register-Republic in Rockford, Illinois, from December of 1977. They did a little feature on the little home-based business of Jim Mickey, and it said, couldn't find game, so he invented one. And it basically says, Jim Mickey is a game nut. Each week, Mickey, another sports game friend from Rockford, 2 from Oregon, that's Oregon, Illinois, and 1 from Lindenwood, and 4 others from Rochelle gather at Flag Center Church of God to play in a sports game league. And it just talks about how he developed his own game, because he had always, and his game is the featured game, of course, at this recreational tabletop league. So it was just one of those things. He did it himself, and even was part of a league that played this game in the 1970s, obviously, and it is a fantastic game to this day. And it says, I've received a lot of compliments on the game, and I've also had offers from several big game companies interested in marketing now that it's proven successful. And this is the first of a couple videos based on this visit to Rochelle, Illinois. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but I will in the following episode regarding Jim Mickey's Fast Break Pro Basketball. So this simulation is going to be 1 year past when I decided to buy Fast Break, probably through my parents, who probably wrote a check to pay for it because I was only 12. And so I have the 79-80 edition. That was my first season. And this is going to be the 80-81 edition based on the 79-80 season. So this is what you get. Basically, I recalibrated this box and filled it with all the goodies that came with a Fast Break season of cards in probably late 1980. So you just pop off the lid, and there it is. And you can read, basically you're going to get some instructions here, and it tells you everything that's in the game, from charts to dice to plastic statistic sheets, Fast Break cards of each team, game boards, and everything. So anyway, I pulled a few of these extra ones from the basement, the instructions for Fast Break, a very well-written set of instructions. You follow that up with the advanced features, which basically flow seamlessly within the game. Now, Stratomatic Pro Basketball will say, well, all the advanced features, advanced game flows all together. It does for the most part, but it's not as seamless as Fast Break. I'm going to say that, and I've always had a little bit of a favoritism for Fast Break for that reason. There's also a special sheet, which allows you to create your own draft leagues. Now, not easy to do. This is a very difficult task. These are Jim's calculations down here for a typical Fast Break league, but believe me, trying to create your own team Fast Break card, trying to create your own all-star team and make it accurate, it's probably just easier to throw the cards down there, make up your own Triggerman summary and Fast Break card and just go, rather than spending a whole 2 weeks trying to calculate the calculations on the Team Fast Break card and Team Triggerman summary. Okay, so with every game, you get a double deck worth of cards. So these are there's one of each one of these cards. I think there's 26 in here, I'm pretty sure. And then you duplicate it again. And typically you'd throw both of those, shuffle those together so you can have some randomness when you play your game of Fast Break basketball. Additionally, you get 2 sets of dice. They were probably not as yellow as these. These are my original dice that I never lost. Fast Break right there. Down in Jim's basement, I'll get into this in another video, they had plenty of extra press cards. This is the press cards. You get down 15 points, 10 points. And if your team is a very good pressing team, you lay that card down, and whenever one of the press cards, like for instance right here, press B column comes up, when you flip it, there's an A and a B column depending on how good a press team the defense is, and then you roll off of that. So it could result in a Fast Break, could result in a press fail, offensive Fast Break for the other team, could force a turnover, an offensive foul, or even a steal. So sometimes it's just a pass. So very effective, the old press card, if you have a really good group of players who know how to steal the basketball. I mean, I would reference maybe the Knicks of 1980, where they had Ray Williams and Michael Ray Richardson. You know, there's been a number over the years. Some Atlanta Hawks teams, you know, they had some really good defensive guards. Even the New York Knicks with Walt Frazier. Who knows? You know. But anyway, there's your team. You know, and those are all perforated. These are mint in mint condition. But you can perforate those and just tear those apart, and you get 6 fast break cards. And here's a fresh tip chart. I always call it the tip chart. This is for the advanced game, which you typically will play. The back side of it has basic game, which does not have rebounding of block shots and things, so it compensates on the rebounding, missed free throws, and tip chart items here. But most people will be playing with this side by the time you've played your second game of fast break. Also gives you the question mark and assist results. You can randomize them that way as well. There's also rebounding block shots. Tells you who gets it, and if a fast break is resulting off of a fast break, off a block shot, or is it just ball knocked out of bounds, or is it an offensive rebound? A rebounding missed free throws chart, one of the best charts in the tabletop game, because it just simplifies it. A lot of people, they have you flip a card, and you know, it's the same type of rebound battle as you would have for a regular jump shot, which is not effective and not true to the real game. On a free throw, your defensive team's going to get the rebound 98% of the time. But anyway, there's your tip chart. This was for the 80-81 edition, 79-80 season, so there's a 3-point basket. And unlike other seasons, Jim had to deal with the 3-point basket, and then he basically, as soon as the season ended, he had to go to town and start ordering the statistics from the National Basketball Association, and then he had to integrate a 3-pointer for another 79-80 season of cards. So if you look in here, if you look carefully, this is the special deck that was only issued like 1 year. It says Class AA or higher on 3-point attempt. You got to look at the player's rating on his card if he's a AA, and if there's a range of numbers to determine if he takes a 3, and then they have a 3-point column if it occurs. So yeah, this is the only year that you have to look at the player determination cards to determine if a 3-point attempt is to be taken. There's also ways to coach the 3-pointer, or do other things, put it into play when you're down by a certain number of points. But that's the directions of the 3-point basket. In future years, the 3-point shots are taken, they're placed on the cards, the player cards themselves, and you don't have to work as hard in order to get the 3-point shot done. But 79-80, there wasn't a ton shot. I mean, other than Freddie Brown, Brian Taylor, Rick Barry, not a lot of guys took a ton of 3-pointers. I mean, some teams barely won a game. It wasn't implemented until many years later, and of course they go crazy now with the 3-pointer. I do not know what a Jim Mickey's fast break game would look like in 2025. That would just be insane with 3-point shot. But anyway, these are per 48-minute statistics and Triggerman statistics. I could read these very easily when I was a 12-year-old, but as a 40 and 50-year-old plus, these things are virtually impossible to read without glasses, and so I created my own version of the Triggerman summaries in much bigger type, so I don't have to try to really work too hard to read these, because this is how the game goes. This is the quarters 1 through 4. Who's going to get the ball more often than others? So that's. But this is 79-80, and there's 4 of these sheets. Jim Mickey acquired a TRS-80 Radio Shack computer in the mid-70s and started utilizing it for the sole purpose of putting these per 48-minute statistics together. He did every one of his regular calculations on the cards. Once he had these, he had the basis for making the cards. And once he made the cards, once he started developing the cards, he went into his myriad of formulas, which he calculated by hand and using a calculator and writing them down. There was virtually no computer work done in creating the cards for Jim Mickey, with the exception of these per 48-minute stats. So there's one for each, and they're also on both sides of this as well. So we have that there. What else is in the box? Well, Jim Mickey issued a real cheap set of head-to-head score sheets. The reason these are head-to-head is that you and your opponent playing across the table from you, you can see they're double-sided as well. Each grab one of these for each game, and you keep your own score, your own minutes, your own points, and everything. And that way, you share the scoring duties. Well, in as many tabletop solo solitaire players know, it's kind of hard. We used to play with, we got one of these with the game. I should have ordered the solitaire once, but I ordered these. And soon after I was trying to get the solitaire ones, they ran out of print. So I don't have a copy of a realistic fast break score sheets that is solitaire, all on one page. But these were a lot of fun. A lot of times when we played by ourselves, we'd use one sheet, and I'd just flip it over every time I was making a mark on each player's statistics, which in retrospect, that seemed like a lot of work, but it worked for us back in the day. This is a sample of what the solitaire score sheet looks like. And this one's my original one. It's a little beat up and old. But see, there's the head-to-head. And this one's the solitaire, which comes on a legal-sized piece of paper. Now, when I was in Jim Mickey's basement, I came across this, and I don't know if this is a prototype or what, or came out much later, but this is a solitaire score sheet on a letter-sized piece of paper. And it looks like a pretty good score sheet as well, combining all of that stuff. And you could check off the score and everything. So that's something I may try out, although I use a computer spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet to do my scoring these days. But anyway, there's what it would look like. That's how you were supposed to keep score on a solitaire score sheet back in 1979. Oh, Rick Barry, my favorite player, 30 minutes, 6 of 11, 14 points, 4 assists for the Arrows team, who lost to the Eagles. That's pretty cool. But then we finally get down to the nitty-gritty, and this was hiding in Jim Mickey's basement, 1979-80 season of cards. Now, this is how they came. They're usually one team per sheet. You can see there's 10 cards on this page. Yeah, 10 cards. This was 1979-80. This was Dave Cowan's last year as a ball player. It was Larry Joe Bird's first year as a ball player. So this was quite a year. They went from 29 wins to close to 60, as I recall, and went quite a ways. They got beat in the playoffs by Philadelphia, but it just goes on and on. There's the Hawks. And the Supersonics, the defending champions, who had another good year in 1980. Your LA Lakers, your NBA champions, with some guy named Magic Johnson over here. But, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was also a key player as well, rated excellent on defense. So even though Magic's only given fair, a lot of plays are going to be run right into Kareem, and Kareem will be there to swat the shots. And Magic's a great rebounding guard as well. Sixers, fantastic team. Almost won the title, but Magic Johnson decided to start at center. Caldwell Jones, Bobby Jones, Darryl Dawkins, Maurice Cheeks in the Hall of Fame, and some guy named Julius Erving right there. Good defense, a lot of good instincts for steals. That defensive card would be a fun one. Block shots because he can leap out of a building still. But there's the Sixers, who went all the way before falling to the Celtics. Team fast break cards. You can see Portland was like a really slow-paced team, so that is very slow. You don't get to run the fast break as often as other teams like Denver. Even Denver's got 6 and 7 no outlet pass, though. Phoenix is a running and gunning team. That team should have gone to the finals again, but it just didn't happen. And so after you get through the fast break cards, you have the extra players. So there's a Clipper, Marvin Bad News Barnes, Kevin Coonert, a few more team fast break cards. And these were all hand collated by the Jim Mickey's kids, in addition to some other family and friends. When they finally get all of this work done, I will go into what Jim Mickey did to put out in a fast break season of cards, and it's quite a story. nothing came easily when you're doing it all by hand. But anyway, I digress. Here's some more fast break extra players. Yeah, Mitch Kupchak was a great rookie, but got injured during his third year, maybe, or maybe that's his second or third year. That's probably his third year, I'm guessing. And but sometimes those extra players can fill in. Oh, speaking of fill in, there's Phil Jackson, who shot something like 60% from the field on very limited attempts. So you're going to see not many shots per minute played, but not many misses. So way to go, Phil. Too bad you only have a 2 on the rebounds for a forward. Did not play much. But, you know, the extra players are just a huge part of the game. We always wanted to see what a guy, how his card would turn out, even though he played limited games, limited minutes, or got injured. So usually a lot of the defensive ratings of the extra players are not great. There's above average Campy. Campy's a good player. Bernard King, he was undergoing a lot of personal drug issues and things like that. Yeah, he was in trouble with the law as well. Fortunately, he turned his career around right after this little stint with the Utah Jazz and became a great player in Golden State and a Hall of Famer. Big Tom Burleson, I always rave about him. I always thought he should have had a longer career. But a couple injuries, and I just didn't get it together for some reason after a great career at NC State. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of extra players here. We've got 22 teams, so yeah, you probably got 2 to 3 extra guys per team. And there's Adrian Dantley. Oh, yeah, we're back to regular teams here. There's Utah right there. There's Denver. Yeah, there was no exact sequence to how these cards were distributed. At least most of them were on the same page. And there's Alex English, Hall of Famer. David Thompson. Oh, that was an injury year for him, 79-80. Also riddled with a few personal issues, unfortunately, because he was as great as they come. Oh, Artis Gilmore got injured in 1980, so you can replay the Bulls and have a healthy Artis Gilmore. That team did not play very good, of course, without him playing much more than half the season. The Clips, yeah. See, there is a 3-point column right here, but it's got to be instigated by having the proper class on that player determination card. Who else has a good 3-point range? Like I said, there's Bill Walton's first season, abbreviated season, pregame injury 3 to 9. So how the mighty had fallen. We got that magazine showing how great he was and how he won an MVP in 78. By 1980, he was just trying to discover how to put the doctors were trying to figure out how to put his foot back together. But anyway, that's the Slippers. And we got the Blazers, who were rescued in the late season by Billy Ray Bates. He's an extra player who won Player of the Week. He was a call-up from the Maine Lumberjacks. But here's the Blazers. They were mediocre. And the Golden State Warriors, they had lost Rick Barry a couple years ago, so they were still struggling to get back to normalcy. Phoenix Suns, fun team to play with Westfall and Walter Davis. May they rest in peace. Those guys were just so fun to watch together. Don Boozy, excellent defender. And then you've got the Detroit Pistons who were just dreadful. Bob McAdoo, his career came to a grinding halt after this season before he finally got back in a team that would actually appreciate him again in Los Angeles. But yeah, this team was like 16-66. Be fun to play Bob McAdoo, though, with Bob Lanier. I guess Bob Lanier got traded as well, so you could probably put Lanier on the team if you wanted to. Spurs, always a good running and gunning team. George Gervin scored a ton. I think he averaged about 33 maybe, 33 a game. He was ridiculous. The Iceman. Houston Rockets, and my favorite player, Rick Barry's final season right there. Moses Malone was pretty darn amazing. Draws a lot of fouls, great offensive rebound. 26, I think that's the highest in fast break history right there for an offensive rebound rating. Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, Washington Bullets, the defending champions of 1979. No, they were the 78 champions. showing some age here, but still a competitive team. And the up-and-coming young New York Knicks, top rookies like Bill Cartwright. Great rookie season. Cartwright, Bird, and Magic, all in the same season. There's probably someone else I'm missing out on. Michael Ray Richardson, one of my all-time favorites. Excellent on defense. Can play him at forward if you need to. And then finally, the New Jersey Nets. Maurice Lucas came over in the big Calvin Nat trade. And neither the Blazers nor the Nets fared too well overall. But love Maurice Lucas. And finally, as we get to the bottom of this plain brown box, we get a set of playing boards. Now, this little set here comes with 2 sheets. These are brand new. And as you can see, they're designed to line up like this, so you can go head-to-head with somebody. Now, the original mechanism also is to flip them over if you want to play on your own. And you get a set of game boards that looks like this. And Jim Mickey had about a stack that was almost 9 inches to a foot high of these boards still sitting in his basement. But anyway, unlike a lot of people who did this, I really like the look of the original game board. So you'll quite often see me, if I do use the boards, I put it like this. I put the 2 head-to-head boards side by side so the clock is still right up the middle, and I play like that because you got kind of like a simulated basketball hoop there, and it just looks more attractive. But anyway, that's part 1 of my Jim Mickey story. Meeting with the family was just a wonderful thing, just talking about memories, and they really enjoyed how I put together some articles showing love to not just Jim Mickey and his incredible talent for making a basketball game, and we will get into that in the next episode. But what an amazing family team effort they did in putting this game together, collating the team. They'd have pizza parties to collate the game and put all the cards in the right sheets, because there was a lot of individual things to collate here. And every time I got a fast break game, I always got the right cards that I ordered. I always got the right game parts, so I ordered a complete game. There was never an error made. So these adult kids, they did a fantastic job back in the 70s and 1980s when they were much younger, much smaller, and they took the responsibility seriously. Mary, I assume, probably double-checked every single one of them, though, because she was there side by side with Jim Mickey putting this wonderful game out. And as Jim Mickey says, we could not have done this without my wife, Mary Mickey. So anyway, that's enough for this episode. Have a good day from Rod's Tabletop Hoops.